go ahead and look a little bit more at Drive and Google Docs to talk about some of the important differences between JAWS and VoiceOver on the Mac. Because I think that some of this lack of experience with the technology is another reason why some people are struggling to understand why Google Drive does actually work well with VoiceOver. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn on my screen reader with Command F5.
VoiceOver on Safari, My Drive, Google View on Mac has keyboard focus.
Sometimes I silence VoiceOver and it wants to keep talking, so I have to hit silence again, which frustrates me a little bit. So we already know from the JAWS module that we can press G and then N to go to the navigation panel, so I'll just model that.
Shared with me, list box, navigation. You are currently on a table.
Now what I want to tell you is we're in this table. If we were using a different screen reader, from here we could just arrow up and down, so I'm going to do that. Visually on the screen, the focus looks like of the cursor is changing. There's a little blue oval around trash. When I hit arrow up, it moves to star. But VoiceOver is not speaking that. When we're in a table like this, we have to interact with the table in order for VoiceOver's cursor to move inside of that section or that area, and in order for us to interact with it. So in order to start that interaction, we're going to hit Control Option Shift and down arrow.
List in folders and views table.
Now
selected.
Now you hear
start.
Now you hear it start reading for us. So I'm going to arrow up until I get to Drive.
Link, recent, link, shared with me, link, expand tray item, link, expand tray item, My Drive, collapsed. You are currently on a link inside of.
Once you're done interacting with the link, or I'm sorry, with the table in this case, you're going to hit Control Option Shift up arrow.
Out of folders and views table.
And that exits you from that interaction. So now you can start moving on to different parts. We all know that the Google command to get to the list view is G and L, so I'm going to press that now.
View on Mac Practice Google Docs, owned by Table 1.
All right, silencing that. Now from here, again,
Untitled doc, practice doc.
When we're arrowing up, it's not making us get into it to interact with it. So that's kind of a learning curve type thing. The navigation panel requires you to activate it or to interact with it with Control Option Shift down arrow. The list for your documents in Drive does not require that. So I'm going to arrow down to VO on Mac Practice. It's the document that I created for this video.
Practice presentation, untitled document, Google, untitled form, Google Forms, VO on Mac Practice Google Docs, owned by me.
All right, that's the document we're looking for. Before I go into that document, I just want to comment again, all of your Google commands are going to work. If we wanted to create something, we could press C and it would open up your new button, and with that tree, and you could go through and determine what you're going to create. Any of those share commands, all of those for Google are going to be the same. I want to now open the VoiceOver router to show you what things are available from those options. So that's Caps Lock U.
Links menu.
It's brought up the links. I'm just going to go through some of the links so you can hear what's on the page.
Link, Drive, link, account, link, search, link, maps, link, YouTube, link, play, link, news, link, Gmail.
Okay, now I'm going to hit right arrow.
Headings menu.
We only really have two headings here.
Heading level 2. Folders and views. Heading level 2. Suggested.
So headings is not very useful in Drive.
Form controls menu. Search in Drive. Search options. Search Google Drive. Google Apps. Google account. New. Menu pop-up collapsed. Button.
If you can't remember C for create to get to the new button, you could come to form controls and press N for new menu pop-up collapse button and press that. Then you could get there as well.
Get link button. Share view on Mac Practice. Preview. But remove button. Grid view. But close button. List box. Name. Reverse sort direction button.
So those are all the form controls. Again, if you forget how to share and you recall that it's a button, you could open the VoiceOver router, arrow left and right until you get to form controls, and then press S for share.
No items in. Web spots menu.
No web spots.
Tables menu.
And that table section is the list of documents. So if you don't recall G and then L to get to your list, you could come here to tables, focus on the 1 column and 8 rows, and then you're good to go. So I'm going to hit escape from here. I just wanted to show you that even if you forget Google Workspace commands, VoiceOver does work really well with Drive regardless.
VO on Mac Practice Google.
All right, I heard it say VO on Mac Practice. That's the document I want to open. I'll press enter and it will open in a new tab.
Web content. Frame. Screen reader support enabled. On page 1. VO on Mac.
Okay. Your reading commands, your navigation commands within the dock are all going to be the same. Left and right arrow by cursor, shift left and right highlight, by letter. Shift left and right highlights by letter, control or command shift left and right highlights by word, command left and right moves by word. Same thing for paragraph, all that good stuff. Where things get different is when we're going to try to access the file button or the edit button. Any of those up at the top on that ribbon are going to be different. When you go to Google and you search in, say, dock keyboard commands, it's going to tell you to access the file menu by pressing Control, Option, and F. This is correct when you're not using VoiceOver. So I'll turn VoiceOver off.
VoiceOver off.
And I'm going to hold Control, Option, F. Let me focus on my document here. Control, Option, F. And visually on the screen, the file menu popped up. And I'm going to hit escape and I'm going to turn VoiceOver on.
VoiceOver on Safari. VO on Mac Practice.
Silence VoiceOver. I'm going to press the same commands, Control, Option, F.
Enter search text.
And that is an enter search text command. That Control, Option, F is the same thing as caps lock F, which is your search. So you have to hit escape. And you now, before you can press that keyboard command to get into your file menu, you have to tell VoiceOver we're going to override the VoiceOver command. It's not hard to do. We're going to hit caps lock tab.
Ignoring next key press.
It's telling you we're going to ignore the next press. Now we're going to Control, Option, F.
Menu pop up. Menu
No.
17 items.
Now we're in our file menu and we can go down through them.
Menu pop up. Menu 16 item. Insert.
I hit a couple keys at the wrong time there, but now you can just navigate through. So if you are using a Google command and it's not working the way you anticipate, my first step would be reload your page. If it's still not working the way you anticipate, then you would do a caps lock tab to override or ignore the next command. So I'm going to hit escape.
Frame 2. Screen reader support enabled. On page 1. Document region.
Silencing VoiceOver. Let's just try Control, Option, E and see what it does. Control, Option, E. It didn't like that at all, so I'm going to caps lock tab.
Ignoring next key press. Menu pop up. Menu 9 items. Edit.
And then I was able to access the menu. So the learning curve here, or the thing that you would need to teach your students, is that on a Mac with VoiceOver, they caps lock tab before they go into their menus. That way they override that key, since Control and Option together is the same thing as your VoiceOver key. Now, a workaround for this would be to go into your VoiceOver settings and have caps lock be your only VoiceOver modifier key. If that was changed, then the Control, Option, F to get into your file would work just fine. But since my computer is set up to have Control, Option, and caps lock be the 2 modifier keys, it's not working correctly. And that's probably what's going on that Facebook post that I was talking about in a different video and that I actually wrote about in this document. So I'm going to hit escape.
Frame 2. Screen reader support on page 1. Document region.
She's going to keep telling me document region. I'm going to go to the top of my page.
This is a practice document in Google Drive. I have seen space selected. This is a practice document in Google Drive. I have seen today in a Facebook group that Google Workspace is not truly accessible on the Mac with VO because Google doesn't share some features with Apple, and then Apple cannot give access to those features via the screen reader. This assumption is incorrect. Selected. You are currently...
So I'm silencing. She's going to tell me where my focus is and what I can do to move within the areas. But I just really wanted to hone in on that fact that if something's not working correctly, it's probably user inexperience and not really understanding how to do it especially with Google Workspace. Other websites or things that aren't really truly accessible might be different, but for Google, if it's not working with VoiceOver, it's not working with JAWS, or not working with NVDA, it's probably an experience issue and not so much as it's completely not accessible. So that's my soapbox for this. You can do all the other same things you wanted to do in Google Drive using Google keyboard commands or your VoiceOver navigation commands, and you're good to go. So let's go ahead and move on to some more complicated things here. Turn off VoiceOver.
VoiceOver.
And as soon as it turns, my computer's tired. I've been doing a lot of videos today, so I have to wait for it to turn off, and then I end my video.